Hello, come on in, welcome.
Welcome.
Hello.
Hi. Lovely to be with you today. This is the open house for the certification as focusing professional. And here are 5 of the teachers of that program. And some others will join us later, but welcome and come on in. And what we would like to do is introduce the program, introduce ourselves, answer your questions, and just give you a feel for what this might be like when we do it. So maybe we'll just like go around the room and let each of the teachers here introduce themselves by anything you want to say about who you are and what you bring and what you're teaching in the certification program. This is the certification program that starts in the fall of 2018, this year, and it's going to be meeting on Thursday mornings in Pacific time. So the same time this webinar is starting is when the certification program will be. So I'm Ann Weiser Cornell. I'm really the main teacher of the program. I'm present for more than half of the classroom meetings, and it's Barbara McGavin and I who've really created the curriculum of the program. We are so pleased and honored that we're joined. It's not just my thing, not just Barbara and my thing, but we're really joined by other interrelationship focusing teachers who are playing key roles in helping you to become focusing professionals. So let's hear from some other people here. We'll give you another chance to speak later at more depth, but just maybe go around and introduce yourselves. Who'd like to be next?
I'll go next. I'm Lucinda Hayden, and I teach level 1 and 2 in the basic training program. And that's one of the big ways that I contribute to the certification program, because one of the requirements is to teach a class of your own, a level 1 class of your own. And so you assist me in 3 times in my level 1 class. You can certainly assist other people as well. It does not have to be me, but you're welcome to assist me 3 times or more. Many people like to assist more times after they start teaching their own focusing classes. It's nice to come back and assist again. And so one of the ways that I help out, that I teach in this certification program, is to meet with people after the level 1. After you've had a live experience of going through level 1, then we meet afterwards to talk about it. I answer questions. If you're working on the structure of your own class, we can talk about that. And so, yeah, that's one of the main ways that I participate. So I'll tell you more later. It's enough for now.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Lucinda. Emily, would you be next?
Sure. I'm Emily Agnew, and I'm speaking to you from Rochester, New York, where winter apparently is still happening. I'll be teaching actually 5 courses for you in this upcoming program, and the courses themselves are representative of how thorough this program is. And maybe I can wait till later if you like, Ann, to say more about that, or would you like me to say that now?
No, that's okay. Tell us a little about you.
Yeah, well, I was certified in 2013 through this program, and have gone on to, I have a business called Luminous Listening, where I work with clients one-on-one and also teach focusing classes, and focusing classes sort of altered for the other modality that I teach, so I'm to mix some things together. And I also specialize in working with highly sensitive people And many focusers, many people who are attracted to focusing are highly sensitive. So that seems to, ring it strikes a chord for many clients. So yeah, that's me. Wait till later to say more about the courses, Ann.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that, Emily. Because that might take a while, and I'd love to hear you let you have room to lay it out and not feel rushed.
Okay,
great. Thank you so much. Peter, would you be next?
Yeah, sure. So hi, I'm Peter Gill. I'm based in Southwest England, and I'm a focusing teacher. I teach groups and individuals, and I'm a mentor, which is the kind of name for coordinator in the UK model. So I'm teaching people to teach also. So I run my own training programs. Yeah, and I'm one of the co-mentors on Ann's program. And currently what I'm really excited by is a kind of mixing of focusing and like nature work and working in nature. So that's a very new and interesting and evolving area for me. And yeah, I'm very excited about that. I guess as part of a bigger picture of how can focusing help our situation in the world, the bigger going on in our environment and our ecosystem and all of that. So I'm kind of at a cutting edge in that with myself. So that's something that I'm excited about.
Nice. Thank you so much, Peter. Marcella.
That sounds very exciting. My interest is anything that has to do with the word voice. English is wonderful because English allows us to use the word voice to mean many different things, from the literal, speaking mechanism to the more metaphorical, finding your voice in the world, to and I think it applies also to the inner selves that reveal themselves, or partial selves, or the voices that we hear in our head, the whole babble of, I'm not talking about, hearing voices or God telling you to do things. I'm talking about just what comes when we listen within ourselves, those voices. And I braid together an interest in, and many, many years of spending time with each of those different kinds of meanings to the word voice. I have been a classical singer for many years. I teach voice and self-actualization through voice work. And I've had a consulting practice called Clarity Works, which has to do with one's voice in the world as evidenced in our decisions and our actions and our communication strategies. And what made all of it make sense, what made my own way of living and what I do for people in the world, what tied it all together and made it far more effective was bringing in to the mix inner relationship focusing and the interaction between ourselves and those, what I'm calling inner voices. It's not only added this third dimension, but it has made so much more sense of the other two that I'm quite passionate about it. And it informs how I use focusing and how I teach, and just a real appreciation for how much power there is. Today, I don't pay attention to Facebook, and Gmail pushes Facebook notifications to that sort of second folder of social things. And it so happened that I needed to find something that had gone astray. So I saw that there was a Facebook notification in Polish, but I recognized sort of one of the sources, and I dug in and I used Google Translate, and I found out that I had been tagged in a Facebook post from somebody I don't know in Poland, who was writing that the focusing webinar that I had given 2 years ago with a Polish translator for a Polish audience, that he wrote, I use this gentle and powerful method of being with myself every day. It was just fantastic. And I thought, yes, that's why I'm passionate about this.
Thank you so much, Marcella. And Barbara McGavin is here. Go
Hi.
ahead, Barbara. We're just introducing ourselves.
Okay, well, I think probably everybody knows me, but I'll do that anyway. What can I say? Gosh, what gets me excited is going deep. I've just done an amazing session with somebody. They, you know, it's their work. I'm not going to claim that much from it, but just the sheer joy of being able to go deeply to the heart of something that has been really stuck, and be able to be there, help to create the kind of environment in which something which has been stuck gets to unfold and find its own life again, find its own way forward. Like, I am not some kind of expert in what that way forward is. Only there is this inner knowing, and I can help support that come to life and live forward. And to be able to create the kind of environment in which, when it doesn't go forward, I can still create an environment in which that implicit can be supported to be as it is right now, in the way that it needs to be. And then, you know, it might take 5 sessions, 10 sessions, 20 sessions, or just something happening in life, but continuing to create that environment in which transformation can occur. And that's cool. That's a really amazing, cool, neat thing to be able to do. And gives me hope for life. That kind of, that transformation of what is really seems intractable can occur.
Yeah.
That's what I want to say. That's what comes.
Yay. Thank you so much, Barbara. What I'd like to do now is say a bit about the overall structure of the program. And
I just want to remind you, I've got like 8 minutes. And then I'm going to have to leave.
Barbara can only be here for 8 minutes. Is there something more you'd like to say before you?
Not specifically. I just, you know, if you want me, I'm here for that.
I know. I really appreciate that. All right, I'll do my best to see what I can do in 8 minutes. Would my fellow teachers mute yourselves? Because I don't have the power to do that. Thanks. So, just to fill in the picture of the certification program. First of all, it's for people who feel a calling to share focusing with others. And it is a very powerful self-development program, of course. So it would be for others and for yourself. There's no way you can go through these 2 years of learning how to help others do focusing without also doing profound inner growth. So it starts in the fall, but there's a series of things before then that you'll need to do to get ready to do it. And I'll talk about that later. First of all, let me just talk about the program itself. So it includes classroom meetings. And when people are talking about classes or courses, they're talking about meetings, 2-hour meetings of the certification program, 33 times a year for 2 years. And generally every week, except for skipping holidays and things, and not in the summer. So, and the time this coming fall is Thursdays from 10 to 12 Pacific time, almost the same times as this promo webinar, this open house. You'll meet with one of us in those 2 hours on Zoom, although it's Zoom meeting, which you're all familiar with, not where you get to see everybody who's there. And it's nice because we design it from the beginning for you to get to know your fellow trainees. So you become a community together, a cohort, where you're supporting each other's learning as much as you are supporting your own. And that is a rich field of contribution and can last the whole rest of your life. You leave this program after 2 years with a group of very supportive colleagues and friends. So these classroom meetings at the beginning are every week, and then after about 13 or 14 of those, and then every other week, instead of meeting as a whole group, you'll meet with a group of 3. That's called a triad for consultative support. And that's another way that we build into the program the community and mutual support. So the first year, the topics of these weekly meetings is primarily about working one-to-one. During the first year, you'll also start assisting in the courses we teach, which Lucinda's already mentioned. She'll be the main person you have contact with, especially at the beginning of that. And she'll tell you later about what's called the wraparound, how to teach component of that. But most of the first year is about teaching one-to-one. And at a certain point during the first year, when you're well prepared, you'll start working with practice clients. So doing guided focusing sessions, facilitated sessions with people. At first, people who know focusing already, and then later, people who are new to focusing. And all of that will be prepared for and has a nice structure to it. Then in the second year, the focus is primarily on teaching focusing to groups, being able to communicate about focusing to the bigger world. No, it's how to find people to work with. And then the other thing about the third year, you'll be creating a focusing project where you'll pick some area of focusing that fascinates you and learn more about it or do something with it and then tell us about that. Also, one of the main components of this program is that you'll be choosing 2 mentors. Actually, one is not a choice. For one of your mentors, it's me. And so your choice is of your second mentor. We call these co-mentors because the 2 mentors work together to be your mentors. There's a list on the website of, I think, 16 or 18 people who are possible mentors for you, including everyone here. And so as you move, as you move towards starting the program, one of the things you'll be doing is sensing who would be a compatible second mentor for you. And the 2 mentors are there for you emotionally and informationally and throughout the program, especially when you see practice clients. You'll be reflecting on the sessions you did and then sending those reflection forms to your 2 mentors. 3 times you record the practice client sessions that you do, and one or the other of your mentors observes that session. We're going to lose Barbara in a minute or 2. Barbara, do you want to add something important about the structure of the program? You need to unmute yourself. Thank you.
About the structure.
Or any last words you want to leave people with?
Any last words? just that I guess what comes is, as I hear the structure again, just how thorough. It's a very thorough program, and it's well thought out, and it's been well tested, and and each year it gets modified a little bit. We learn things from it. So I'm really glad and proud to be part of this whole thing, this whole process. I think it's a jolly good program, really.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Great.
So I'm going to have to go because I have a client in a few minutes.
Thank you.
So,
glad you could be with us.
I'm glad I managed to get here. Okay. Good to see you all.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Good to see you, Barbara. Bye.
Bye for now.
Well, I want to hear more from the teachers who are here about their role in the curriculum that's coming up. But first and then we're also going to talk about the co-mentorship side of this. And I just wonder if, before we do that, anybody's got a question, something that's occurring to you, you didn't hear about it yet, or you're wondering, what did I mean by that? You can write in the chat, or you can raise your hand. And if you raise your hand, I'm going to hand you the microphone. No? All clear so far? I really am happy that you showed up and you came and you're interested. It's really great. All right. So if we go to the website, let me just do this for a second. Okay. We go to the Focusing Resources website. Oh, I see a chat. Okay, let me just do this and I'll come back to that question. We can hover our mouse over the word courses, and that will go down to certification program. If we click on certification program, oh dear, that didn't work. Why not? Certification program. Ah, there it is. It worked the second time. Okay, so we want to, what I'm showing you is that I'm going down to this place on this website where, there we are, where it says curriculum and year 1 and year 2. So you can read all about what the curriculum is there. And as I look at it, I can see that two of the early classes are led by Peter Gill. So let me turn it over to you, Peter, and talk a bit about what you're teaching. And please unmute yourself. Talk a bit about what you're teaching in those early classes. Oh, I can unmute you. Okay. No, there you go.
That's right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. Sorry. Let me just can I view that page too? Because I'm
absolutely. Yeah. Let's look at it together. You know, none of us have the memories we used to have.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I'm only teaching a couple. Because I'm only teaching a couple of the weeks. I'm like, oh, right. Okay, remind me, please. Yeah.
What is that? Yeah.
That's right.
You see this here?
Yeah.
These are really key. These are really key parts of our program, and I'm so delighted and honored that you're going to be teaching them, because it's. I think the world of you as a listener, as an empathic person. Yeah.
Yeah,
so tell us more.
So let me just check in with myself here. What would be right to say? So yeah, when you asked me to teach these 2 modules, they both seem juicy to me as well. Like, yeah, wow, I love these topics, especially these. It's kind of, for me, it's kind of breaking a little bit about breaking out of the the form of focusing, if you like, and getting to the essence of it. So we've got these things about spotting felt sense moments, which isn't, it's just like developing, I call them focusing ears, it's like these listening ears.
Yes.
For those key, those kind of, sometimes they're very subtle, sometimes they're really obvious, these moments in people's explorations of their experience. And then there it is, there's that focusing moment. So how can you really tune into that and listen to that more? And it might just come in a long moment of talking, and then this moment arises. So spotting those moments is really, I think, key as a focusing practitioner, someone who's a focusing guide.
Yeah.
And the whole art of getting what someone's conveying. Again, there's a lot I could say about that, but I love that it's like another art. Really, these are kind of arts or skills that we can refine. And
Definitely.
yeah, lovely. And then just one more piece about the images. I love the whole thing about language, the way the body speaks or our being speaks. So this topic around different kinds of expressions through image and non-verbal expression, symbols. That's a really favorite topic of mine. I love exploring it.
Yeah.
So again, I'm very happy to be sharing that bit of the program.
Wonderful. Thank you. This is fundamental, right? I mean, you might think we already know how to listen, but the art of listening is going to be woven through every client session that we do. And here in the certification program, we really deepen that into right. It's not just going through the motions, not just saying back the words. And I know that nobody who's here today listening just says back words. I know you all have a sense of the art of that, and there's more. So thank you, Peter. Well, let's see what somebody wrote in the chat. Oh, it was from Sandy. She thinks she's hidden herself. No, you didn't. All right, very good. Very good. All right. So let me look at that. Let me look at that curriculum again. Barbara will be teaching. Emily's next as I look at the curriculum. Emily, tell us something about all 5 of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all of you who are listening are obviously highly trained focusers already. So there's sort of 3 layers that the courses I teach cover, and the inside layer, all of you, some of you may already be professional therapists. I haven't met you yet, so I don't know that, but I know all of you are familiar with the innermost layer, which is the actual session, like going into a session with someone. So I teach, I'm teaching 2 courses, one about the beginning and one about coming to the end of a session, because there's a whole rich art of how to facilitate the entry of a client into a session that'll help bring the felt sense more strongly. And there are ways you can bring them out that will help them keep and own what they've processed and come to in their focusing. So that's really fun. That's really getting into the nitty-gritty art of it. And you and Barbara have just gone so far.
Oh, Emily, you've taught me so much about ending, and I love how you teach it. Yeah.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, it's an ongoing thing, isn't it? It's always discovering more. So that's the most micro level, right? Just going deeper into the art, as Peter and Ann were saying, from the technique into the art of it. And then the next layer out, if you were making a concentric circle, is boundaries. I'll teach a course about boundaries and how to care for yourself within the session, how to be with stuff that's coming up for you. Also ethical boundaries, the whole client, being with clients in an ethical way. And then yet another layer out, even bigger, is the whole question of how to express what you do to other people, how to let them know that you can help them with problems that focusing can solve, and what problems you might want to focus on that people have that focusing can solve. So there's that, what you were saying, Ann, about the personal development that this program goes into really comes in there, because that's a huge question. Some of you may know how you want to share focusing, but for many people it's not clear, or there are barriers, there's doubts, self-doubts, some things in you that aren't sure how will you do this, especially the marketing piece, the getting the word out brings up a lot for people. So I actually just taught the current certification course. We did a whole thing about that. I try and meet you all where you are, because some people have a lot of experience with that and some people don't have any. Yeah, so
wow, that's so nice. I love how you framed all those as concentric circles going outward.
Yeah.
And I want to say that I'm proud. One of the many reasons I'm proud of our certification program is that we don't just dump people into the world without also showing you how to operate as a professional, to find your clients, to communicate about yourself. Even if you don't want to take this program in order to have a profession or a part-time profession, even if you want to do that, bring this to a community as a volunteer, you still have to tell people what focusing is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not so easy.
Mm-mm.
So there's a whole art to that. And Emily, I admire so much what you've done with your email newsletter that is for highly sensitive people, that tells them both about focusing and the other work you do.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, everybody here who's a panelist today has a wonderful website. And it's probably going to be true that if you want to be a professional at focusing, you'll eventually have a website too. Some people who are interested in the certification program are already professionals.
Mm-hmm.
They're therapists or they're coaches, or they take people through sessions of some kind. And then it's a bit easier then to incorporate focusing. For other people, this might be the first time that you do paid sessions with people, or that you put yourself out there, not as part of a job where you get a salary. So we help you with what that transition feels like. And Emily's just great at that.
Can I just make one more comment about that? Because the
Yeah.
other modality that I'm certified in, they now have a certification program, but they didn't when I was put out into the world with, I didn't know how little I knew until I did the focusing certification program and finished that and felt so much more confident seeing clients. It was a completely different thing. I mean, the 50 practice sessions is just a huge thing, and the feedback, that process of learning, kind of iterative learning. So I can personally testify to the level of confidence that you come out of the program with. It's very practical. And like you said, Ann, the fact that it covers all the different areas that really are the reality of being a professional in the field.
Beautifully said. My main goal is that people who complete the program feeling confident and able to operate in the way you would like to, whether that's focusing as a profession or part-time profession, or something that you're bringing into other work you do or to your community. But that feeling of, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I know how to talk about this. I know how to help somebody through a session. I know how to talk to a group about it and help a group learn it. It's so wonderful. That's what I want for everybody who takes this program. Thanks, Emily.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I look at our curriculum, the next person's name I see is Marcella's. And Marcella, why don't you tell us something about what you're going to bring? Oh, help me unmute you, please.
So Emily spoke about working with highly sensitive people. There's a moment where I think all of us become highly sensitive, no matter how distant that phrase might seem to us at other times. And that is that when we get strong messages of criticism or shaming or just the doubts and awful feelings that can assail us, they're hard to deal with. And it's hard to do what I call stand tall under the onslaught. And there is a core strength that the phrase standing tall points towards. If you think about standing at the edge of the ocean in the soft sand when the wave washes over your feet and you can feel the sand sort of being pulled out from under you, and the balancing that our bodies brilliantly have to do to remain upright. It's complex and it's magnificent when we can do it, and it means calling on a real sense of centeredness and core. It's not just brute strength like a piece of wood, because a piece of wood would fall over if the sand were pulled out from under it. There's something about being with, all of you know Ann's 5-session online course that's available, how to have your feelings without your feelings having you, being bigger than. This is so central to focusing, and it's incredibly profound. It's simple to talk about in some essential way, that great wisdoms are simple, but without ever being, automatic or obvious or easy, like, oh, it's no big deal. If it were a big deal, none of us would be overwhelmed ever, and none of us would be flooded ever, and none of us, if you look at the language that we have in everyday life, I was besides myself, I lost it, everyday idioms that talk about being carried away. I was carried away, that's another one. I think of these things as just incredibly important, because how we end up being able to be strong in the face of tremendously negative voices coming at us from within ourselves. It's even harder than when they come at us from the outside world, and that's hard enough. So that does.
And then on top of that, helping other people do that. Having clients who feel knocked over by their harsh inner critics. Yeah,
that's exactly right. And so not only does the certification program create a structure within which you will grow, or I could just speak in the first person, it's created a structure in which I grew, but it also created a structure in which even thinking about how to share this information with other people grew me. And the practice in sharing with other people teaches you and taught me even more than trying to take on these questions just for myself. So, yay.
Thanks so much, my dear. So just because, the next obvious person to ask to speak would be Lucinda, who is a key part in the teaching as well. However, I know, Lucinda, you can stay a little longer than some of these other folks. So I'm just managing that. We'll get back to you soon. I just wanted to move now. And of course, I'm open to people's questions. Anytime you want to write in the chat or raise your hand. But let's move now to talk about the idea of co-mentorship. And for those people who are here, I'd love them to talk a little about their own philosophy of co-mentorship, and why is this important, and what matters to you about it? How do you like to work with people? Anything like that, because those who are watching, who are participating in this open house, might very well be going through the process of sensing who would you like as a co-mentor. And they may ask me, and I don't really know what to tell you. I want you to sense inside who feels compatible to you. So I just want to give folks here a chance to say a bit about that. And well, let you start with that, Lucinda, since I know you've got something to say about that, and we'll come back to your teaching a little later. How about that?
I do, but doesn't Emily need to leave on the hour? Because then Emily should go first.
Well, we have 17 minutes, and Peter and Emily need to leave on the hour.
Okay.
But let's start with them just to be sure they're Let's start with them to be sure they're relaxed.
That's
All
right.
So Emily, please go ahead. Oh, sorry. I said please go ahead, but I need your help to unmute yourself. Zoom isn't doing it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So my philosophy as a co-mentor, you all are highly experienced focusers and undoubtedly have a lot of experience in many areas of your life. So I see my role as a consultant and who's just a little bit further down the road and has had to wrangle and tangle with some of the issues that you will be. So I really enjoy having a fairly close relationship with my mentees. I ask, just this year I started having them send me like a little postcard, not literally. I'd love to get a real postcard, but an email postcard, just a snapshot of how's it going, you know, so that I can have a sense. And I also really enjoy engaging closely in the conversation about the practice sessions. So sometimes people even do little transcripts of stuff that's happened to get really specific questions. Yeah. So, and what else should I speak to? I also I'm happy to have a conversation, you know, if that's a decision, you know, you're trying to make.
Oh, yeah. So if people aren't sure yet who they want as a co-mentor, you're happy to have a free conversation, a chat.
Yeah.
To help them decide.
Yeah.
And I believe that's true of everyone. But it's really nice to hear that offer in person so people really believe it. You know, see, part of the structure of the certification program is included 3 sessions with both your mentors at the beginning, middle, and end, like a 3-way, and then 3 sessions each, 3 focusing sessions each with me and the other mentor that you can space out over the program.
Mm-hmm.
Plus lots of email contact, and people work in different ways, and that's how Emily likes to work. Yay.
Yeah, and for those of you who are, if the idea of putting yourself out there is challenging, that's something I had actual like trauma level fear about that I had to overcome and use focusing. About putting myself out there.
Well,
Yeah.
do you mean being observed, or?
I mean, in terms of just even putting up my website, it was really hard. I had to do a ton of inner work, a lot of focusing. So that's just a terrain that I've had to navigate a lot, and relatively recently, if that's an issue for anyone listening.
Oh, great. Lovely. Thanks, my dear. Well, let's have Peter go next. I can. Yes, I managed to unmute. Go ahead.
Oh, good. So yeah, how would I describe my philosophy? I've never called it philosophy, but my approach really to co-mentoring would be what I really love about it is supporting this kind of unique emergence, you could say, people's path, and really encouraging that them to find their own way. You know, then there's so many ways in a way to express one's love of focusing and to share it with people, and I love accompanying people in that journey to just finding their own voice, finding their own way of doing it, and it will always be particular to their life and their circumstances. So I guess I have this, it's like wish or desire to see that individual plant to grow in its own particular way, and that's what I really love supporting. So that's kind of bigger picture stuff, and I really enjoy going just in the minutiae and the little pieces of sessions of working with people and really trying to bring out the best in people's as a guide. So that's another, the detail of it I like too. I really enjoy that, accompanying that process too. Yeah.
Emily mentioned trauma. I know you also are interested. You've had trauma training, and
that's right. Yeah. So I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner. So that's another area of interest, and I kind of combine those practices in individual work and a little bit in terms of how I teach groups also. So that's definitely in the mix for me.
When you've had a background of spiritual.
That's right. Yeah.
Awareness. We mentioned already you're interested in nature. I know that goes up and down. Yeah.
No, it's fine. No, I'm very much informed by Buddhist practice in the past, and now what's more emerging, as I said, is more about nature connection and the wisdom we can find in our interaction with nature. So that's an emerging thing.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Well,
Great.
I know you're on childcare duty this evening, so you need to duck out.
Yeah.
We
At some point in about 10 minutes, I'll
Okay, very
disappear.
good. You'll
Yeah.
hang in there till then.
If that's
Love
okay,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. All right. So everybody else, Lucinda can go next because everybody else can stay longer. Go ahead.
Yes, wow, and I loved hearing what everybody else has been sharing, and I resonate so much with it. I mean, I could say, many similar things, but I realized I didn't actually introduce myself in the beginning. I was talking more about the level 1, teaching level 1. So I'd like to start with that, actually. I do have a background as a hypnotherapist as well, and many other modalities, and I love putting together focusing with other things. And I've developed a course on Argentine tango, using focusing and using Argentine tango as a way to connect with ourselves in a focusing way and others in a nonverbal sort of way. And so I love helping mentees who like to put focusing together with some other passion of theirs. And I'm very interested in archetypes, and I've been developing a course using archetypes, the archetypes of the leader, the visionary, the healer, and the teacher that I learned from Angeles Arian. It's kind of a shamanic practice in the seasons, also using nature. So very similar to what Peter was saying. I'd love to chat with you, Peter, about that at some point. And and also bringing in some of what I've worked with hypnotherapy, with visualizing. So really my specialty in focusing is the power of wanting, a course that I've been developing for a number of years, which is really about how to get more of what you really want in your life. And so I draw on all of these other things together with focusing. And of course, focusing is the key to that, to how to have more of what you really want in your life. And so those are the kinds of things that I like to work with people as a co-mentor. And I actually am only going to work with one person, and I want to find the person where we resonate the most together. And so like Emily, I would love to have conversations with you to hear more about what you're interested in, to sense if we're the best fit. So and also, so even for people if we don't work together as a mentor-mentee, I'm delighted to be able to chat with you as you consider going into the certification program. So
you end up working with everybody because of the wraparound.
I do. Yeah. I mean, I'll head. I feel like that's a little bit more. So I do have a background as teaching yoga and Pilates. So that leads into the dance as well. So because you'll be assisting me in level 1 and in the wraparound, which I'll talk about now, then I actually do get to meet everyone and work with everyone. The wraparound, we meet half an hour before level 1 and then half an hour after for you to really be able to review level 1. For one thing, it's a great review because all of the people that I work with in this wraparound tell me, wow, when I took level 1, I missed that totally. The light bulb is just going on left and right for people, even in level 1, which seems very basic and simple. It's so rich. And so to begin to go back and really build your foundation, many people tell me they veered away from a lot of aspects of focusing because they forgot about it. So it's a way to ground your focusing in the basics. And in that, since you assist me 3 times, we can work with building your structure for the course that you develop, which can be similar to what we're doing. We're happy, right, Ann? We're happy for people to stay very close to what we've already developed. And you can develop something of your own, that is very different. But during that time, right after observing and participating a little bit in a level 1 class, we can talk about it where it's fresh in your mind.
And why did you answer that question that way?
Exactly. So you get to hear, and I was really resonating with what Peter was saying earlier about the listening in private sessions, in individual sessions that you'll be doing and being trained in this certification program. And I thought that applies to teaching as well, because it's listening to the individual questions that people are asking in class in that way with, you know, with empathy and sensing underneath what they might actually be asking. And that's one of the courses that I teach in the certification program as well, how to answer those questions. Yeah,
that's right. You teach a course in the class in the program on in the second year.
In the second year, right.
On how to answer people's questions, which is not a simple thing at all. Lovely. Yay. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lucinda. Let's go to Sandy. Sandy, this is about co-mentoring. Can you help me unmute you?
Yes.
Thank you.
There we go. All right, I'm here now. And yeah, so I'm fairly new here. And one of I basically come from having helped mentor people from other programs. And so I'm really excited, though, to be able to support this program because it was the one, I think it's one of the most thorough that I'm aware of. And yeah, so I'm here. And my passion is community.
Yeah, I wanted you to talk about that. Please do.
Yeah, so community building and how that forms like a way that we can support each other and right, and kind of have focusing become almost like when I went into the schools today, have it kind of become from very, you know, a norm, like it's not so unusual, like you might become more skilled and do the deeper things, and there's ways to just access it, you know, for a while, wherever you are. So like how it meets you where you are.
Please toot your own horn, Sandy. I really think you ought to talk about what you've done in your community to create a focusing community there where people meet. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I live in a small town, and we basically have developed, a community where, and there's changes groups, and and I'm also doing it online though. And actually it's been interesting because, you know, sometimes it's important, like some people are comfortable focusing with someone in their community. I have a lot of people who only want to do it in person. And so mixing them in some and connecting them with people from another community and being able to, look at your life. It's so interesting then to find the similarities and explore focusing through that.
Wonderful.
So yeah, that and you know, the parent-child thing. So that's like bringing it into the home. So
sounds like that's a fresh excitement for you, is working with schools, parents, children. Yeah.
So a parent and a child, so that they can together explore how they're processing the same, like bring the same topic and how they're processing it differently and come to understand each other and understand how it's happening. Yeah, but I have a lot of enthusiasm for just that relationship of that same one of just kind of dancing and moving through this process of becoming a trainer and where it takes. Yes.
Wonderful. So glad you're with us. Thanks, my dear. Well, we need to say bye to Emily and Matt, Emily and Peter. Thanks for being with us. We'll stay longer, the four of us that remain, and we've got more to say. And we want to hear from those of you who are here. So thanks for being with us.
Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Yes.
So Marcella, next on the order of business is you talking about co-mentorship and how you like to do it, or how you see it.
Yeah. So what's endlessly fascinating about focusing is that there's a lot to know. There's technique. There's really something to get. And there's a lot to learn, and you're going to learn a lot in the certification program about how to help people focus and focus well and get a lot out of their focusing. But at the same time that there's a technique, it's absolutely not a cookie cutter activity. If you're on this call, you already know that, but it's worth really savoring that fact. It's not a paradigm that then gets applied in a cookie cutter recipe kind of a way. It allows us to be very present to the unique qualities of a particular moment with a particular person. I'm using the word particular with a smile, thinking of what Peter said about the particularity of each person's path, which is something I hugely enjoy because it's never, ever boring to be with people in a focusing way. So all that needs to be said to point what I just said towards specifically mentoring is that each of you are going to be on your particular path in your particular way. And because of the complex but immediately reflective nature of focusing, that means that as a mentor, I get to be with my mentees in a way that's deeply informed by the techniques and the knowledge about focusing, but that is absolutely individual and unique in the moment. And that I love being that way. I love being able to be that way. And I love being able to just identify with whoever I'm with, what's needed right now, and engage my sort of endless delight in problem solving and in finding a fit to the question, what do you need right now? And to being just engaged with that together and on behalf of my mentees. Honestly, it's so much fun, it ought to be illegal. And the fact that I get to think of it as work just boggles my mind.
You are so funny. I know, though. I wake up every morning just thinking, oh, my life is such fun. Thank you so much, Marcella. You started talking about the benefits. Let's talk a bit more about that. And I welcome anybody to chime in. What do people get from taking this program? How does it change your life? Why does it matter to you? Like I said, I hope that anybody considering this program feels a kind of longing or a calling that you've enjoyed focusing so much, you've benefited so much from focusing, that you want to share it. And as I look at the list of participants who are here, I know that that's true of all of you, that I've seen you grow and I've seen you flourish, and I know why you would want to share focusing with other people. And Barbara was telling us when she was here earlier, she just finished a session, and there's just nothing like the bliss of being able to help somebody. I've had sessions like that just this week. Every week I get to sit with somebody and see change. It's like seeing the sun break through the clouds. It's there's so much going on in the world today that feels chaotic or hopeless. And so often people feel overwhelmed or stuck. We have something that actually helps. And we get to do it with people. We get to see them feeling helped by it. And I don't know of anything that's better than that. I guess some people get their enjoyment in some other way. But for me, for Marcella, for Lucinda, for Sandy, and so on. This is it. You know, this is the ultimate in how great it is. And the other thing that you benefit from this program is that you're not alone in that. And you can see that we are each other's friends and colleagues, and you finish the program with that too. In fact, when people go through the program, I have a free monthly group that you can be in forevermore after that. So we don't just kick you out the door. You are, when you finish the program, you join a community, and you're part of that community from now on. But if you are part of that community, there's a website that you can be on. You can to find clients. You're part of the international focusing community as well. Your certification is actually from the International Focusing Institute, who've what do you call it? Given me the power, empowered me. That's the word I'm looking for, to give that certificate, to give their certification. And we help you integrate into that larger community also. Marcella, looks like you want to add something about the benefits of it, do you? I say that because go ahead.
I unmuted myself. Yeah, it's insanely satisfying to help other people. And I want to say that this is the best thing you could do for yourself. We've touched on this before. You've all already you've taken the levels, and you've been drawn to do that because it was helping you. This structure, because this, as other people have said, it's extremely well thought out. Ann and Barbara, I just toast you for the comprehensive, detail-oriented, and big, both detail-oriented and big picture engaged comprehensive program that you've developed. Going through that program is a huge favor that we do to ourselves. And if you decided at the end of that program that you were done, that you didn't want to become, a wage earning professional or start a business or any of those things, you would still, your investment in the program would still already have been repaid by the benefit to your own life. And that's a huge statement. And the same thing to do would be to turn it around and say that that was the case for me. But I've seen this now, and I'm so confident of it that I'm daring to make it a statement about what you will.
Yeah. We have somebody in the current program who's realized she's doing it really for herself. I don't know what's going to happen though. By the end of it, she might find herself working with others, because it's not something you have to choose or decide. But I love what you're saying, Marcella, is that it's so much of a growth process for people, so supported, so kind and gentle, and yet like a gentle hand at your back, right? So it's not like a cocoon, a cushion. It's a gentle hand at your back. Like every step you take forward, there's somebody with you, and you are stepping forward. So you become something.
And I loved what Emily said about sort of owning up to how difficult some of the steps out into the world with focusing were for her. And all of us, I think, have been through stuff that doesn't put us on a pedestal. What it does is it makes it safe for us to humbly own what's been traumatic for us, or what we had to heal from, or what we had to go through. And as a voice professional, I still do, I come from a world in which I'm dealing with people who have stage fright, people who want a voice in the world and are held back. we all have very good reasons to be held back in those ways. Something happened along the way to shut us down, to make it feel risky. So the community of people that you're entering into is a community of people who, you're not the only one with stuff to overcome. And you're entering a community of people who have grown as individuals with the help of focusing and continue to grow as individuals with the help of focusing.
We're all growing. Yeah. So nice. Well, Heather wrote in the chat, let's see, I'm rolling with the want to do the course wave. The want to do the course wave. Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. But like any big wave, it's tossing up lots of driftwood. And is it possible to have a mentor session to help open and release those negating parts? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. We could help you with that process of all that's coming up as you decide whether to take this. Yeah, we'd be glad to. Let me talk a little about the process from here to there, right? So I'd like to have a chat with anybody who's considering taking this course. And Heather, that might be a place where this could happen, where I usually set aside half an hour, but we could leave more time and just sort out what's coming up for you as you even think about whether to do it. I'd love to do that. So the chat is mostly to make sure that I get to know everybody who's wanting to do it. I know, you know, as I look over the list of who's here, I know all of you already, but get to know at this level, like from the point of view of what you're wanting to do with it. And sure, it's also an ideal place to explore, you know, what are the, you know, what's in the way, what needs to be done, what needs to be spent time with as part of the decision. When we're done with the chat, I feel confident that the next step is I'll send you an application link. There's an application to the program. Filling out the application is also a process of inner sensing, because the kinds of questions we ask you to ask yourself. Do I have the resources? Do I have the time? And so that application process, it's not so we judge you, it's so that you yourself can ask yourself those questions and let us know what you came up with. And when you hit send on the application, you're applying, and then we accept you, and then you have payment plans to decide on. You also, after that, decide on your co-mentor. And those deadlines, that is the time by which we would like you to do each step, are all laid out on that certification webpage. So next step is a chat, and you can go to the session section of the Focusing Resources page, and one of the types of sessions that you can choose when you book a session is chat, free chat for somebody entering the certification program or deciding whether to, you know, that's really what it means. You can easily book that session with me. And if I don't have any times coming up, write me an email and we'll find another time. Lucinda, what would you like to add? I know you've got to leave in a few minutes. Tell us whatever you want to say now.
Yes. I wanted to add on to what Marcella just said, because I completely agree with Marcella saying that, you know, this certification program is, you know, a way to deepen your own, like it's worth it even if you decide you don't want to be a focusing professional. That was certainly the case for me. When I went through the certification program, I realized that is where I really learned focusing, not in the levels. I assisted Ann many, many times, and yeah, that's where I really got focusing. And it has been the deepest, you know, healing process for myself personally. And I also wanted to speak to what Marcella said about, you know, you might not think that you want to do some of these things. Like, for example, I mentioned earlier that we need, that one of the requirements is to teach your own focusing class. And I want to tell you that when I first went through, I took Ann's very first class on teaching focusing. And I sat through that whole weekend thinking, I don't want to teach focusing. I don't want to teach classes.
Oh, right.
Remember? Yeah, it was
I do. I'm not here. I don't want to teach. Yes.
Yeah, and I was working with private clients, so I was using focusing with my private clients, and I have a master's in teaching, you know, so I do teach, but I kept thinking, I wish I could hear Marcella laughing. I can see her laughing. I kept thinking, I don't want to teach focusing for many reasons, which I'll share with you if we have a chat. There's not time now, but look at me now. I teach level 1 and 2 and all of this. So my point to all of you is, if you're sitting here thinking, I don't really want to teach, you know, it sounds like a lot of this program is going to be about how to teach it. Don't worry. Because,
right.
Because for one thing, you don't have to teach. And when you teach your own focusing class, you will learn the most. You will learn the most, whether you teach it, whether you want to teach other people or not. It's a great way for you to learn about focusing. If you're just wanting to use it with private clients, or, you know, however you want to use it. And you never know, by the end of the 2 years, things may shift for you, because, you know, that's how I'm offering myself as an example. You know, now I'm a focusing teacher, which, you know, I had to put the foot on the path to go there, and thinking that's not the direction I'm going to go. But then, you know, life's a labyrinth. And so we end up in places that we don't expect. So I just want to leave you with saying, sense into whether what you're hearing from us today feels right. You know, if you get a sense and a feel that you feel drawn to this, even if logically, you know, some of the things we're talking about on a practical level don't seem to fit with you, you know, trust your felt sense.
Thanks, Lucinda. Great parting words.
Yes.
Have fun.
Bye, Marcella. Big hugs. Bye.
Yay. Well, we've probably shared all the information we wanted to. I want to know if somebody has a question, something you'd like us to say more about today. You could write it in the chat, or you could raise your hand. There's a hand up. I'm going to press a button that says allow to talk. Becky, go right ahead.
Ann and Marcella, thank you for all the information you've shared today. I'm curious about the project that you mentioned.
Yeah.
You mentioned there's some kind of a project that's one of the requirements, and I'd like to hear a little bit more about what that might look like.
Sure. What a good thing to talk about. So what we want is, in the second year, that you pick something that fascinates you, that you want to learn more about. And here are the kinds of things that people have picked. For example, combining focusing with some other method that you liked. People have combined focusing with nonviolent communication, with mindfulness meditation, with somatic experiencing, with body work, with table body work. And then those are just a few examples. And then have the project be a report on what they discovered when they combined the two. Then combining the two might be doing sessions that combine the two, or teaching workshops that combine the two, and so on. Another thing people have done is they pick some topic within focusing that they want to know more about, and perhaps read articles about it, interview people, send out a survey. You know, there's a concept within focusing called close process and distant process. Well, one woman recently decided that she wanted to know more about distant process. She felt she was herself a person with distant process, and she just wanted to find out, how do other people with distant process experience themselves? So she created a survey that we helped her find the people to send the survey to, and she learned so much about the different ways people experience distant process. Her project was to write about what she learned. Another woman was fascinated by focusing alone. Why is focusing alone so hard, and how do people manage, and what are the tips they have when they do it successfully? She did that by interview, and the results of her project are now a popular article that people find on the web. So it's called Solo Focusing by Kay Hoffman, Hoffman. Other kinds of projects. One man tried to bring focusing into his work, and it didn't work very well, but it still made a great project because he could write about what he learned by trying to bring focusing into his work. I usually think of it as, you know, about a 10-page paper about what you learned, but as long as you feel like you learned something, it's not really a length of time. It doesn't even have to be done by writing. But it's a way that you've made a piece of the focusing world your own by exploring it. Does that make sense, Becky?
Yes, it does, and it sounds exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And part of the second year is that people, you know, from the very beginning of the second year, we ask people to begin thinking about what their project is, and the two mentors support you in doing it. And at the end of the year, you report to your cohort about your project, as well as telling your mentors about it. It can even be something that you might present on as a topic at a focusing conference someday. But, you know, yes, good. I'm so glad it sounds exciting.
Yeah, thank you, Ann.
Very good. All right.
And unless there's another question, I'd love to add a sentence to that about the project.
Go ahead. There's no question yet. I'd love to hear that, Marcella.
So, you know, when you're in high school, writing a paper means finding out some knowledge that is already exists somewhere, and then making it your own, and then proving that it's now your own. But in sciences, or in any other really, you know, in any other advanced endeavor, when you enter into an exploration and then present that exploration to the world, you're actually advancing the field. You're not just absorbing a piece of the extant body of knowledge, you're expanding the body of knowledge. And I look forward to reading people's reports, because they're going to teach me something. And it's really an opportunity to enter into the flow of the growth and evolution and expansion of the body of knowledge about focusing. You are a contributor, not just a recipient.
Such a good point. I mean, to me, this really embodies our idea that you start, the first year especially, you're starting out receiving, and then by the end of the second year, you are contributing. So this is an empowerment process. And you don't have to feel ready right now to do a project. We'll get you ready, yeah? But imagine that you feel confident enough that you want to explore something, and then make it something that you can even contribute and offer to others. And you'd be amazed at how easy that is. I thought of a few other projects. One was yours, Marcella. You collected and developed exercises to help people be self in presence. Was that it?
Yeah. To help people stand tall under the onslaught. Although I wish I'd thought of that phrase back when I did that. But in other words, I did that project because it was something that was bugging me, that I wanted to get a better handle on. And having done that project helped me get a better handle on it, and my fascination with it has continued. And I've just gotten better and better at handling what seems to me to be a big issue.
Exactly. The project is often something we ourselves need or are wanting to. Like, another one was a woman who loves animals, and she wanted her profession with focusing to be helping people with their issues with their companion animals, especially dogs, cats, but also horses. So for her project, she reached out, and I helped her do that, finding people who had companion animals and offered them free sessions on their issues with their companion animals. And she did maybe 6 or 8 of those. And then she wrote or told us about what she learned from doing that. So it can also be a particular application of focusing to chronic pain. Another woman created a whole workshop on focusing in chronic pain. or any other kind of issue. There are, oh, Becky is asking in the chat if past projects are available. Sampling of past projects are available on the Focusing Resources website, where the articles are. I'm forgetting now. Where do we have our articles these days? It's under free stuff, and then go to our library. And then when you're in our library, you go to articles. There we go, read some articles. And once you're in articles, you scroll down, and completed certification projects is down near the bottom. Oh, here is the one about distant process. That is such an interesting one. And yeah, there's Marcellus. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Quite a nice range of certification projects that people have done there on the website. Yay. Wonderful. Somebody else has a question for us before we go? I think that is all. I feel very complete. Thanks, Marcella, for staying to the end. Bye, everybody. Have fun. Be in touch. Take care.